Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing? Matt Jarbo here with $3 Theater, and I'm out doing deliveries. Had a little bit of downtime, kind of looking around for what's going on today. Quite frankly, not much really happening, right? Not much really happening, but someone sent me a couple articles from Bounding into Comics over the course of the past couple days. They've been talking quite a bit about a certain scoopster by the name of DanielRPK, of which you guys who follow my channel know I've had a little bit of issue with in the past. He tried to blackmail me because I criticized the fact that he hides his scoops behind a Patreon paywall, and that's kind of dumb. I don't feel bad for saying that. It's in my personal and professional opinion, it's dumb. And then he threatened to leak DMs between us, and then he did when I called him. It was a mess. It's a mess. It's all a mess. It's funny though. It's funny because it goes to show you like the mentality of these scoopers. Right now we're in a weird kind of drought with Hollywood. So these guys have got to come up with anything to stay relevant whatsoever. I've talked to people out there that were critical of Mikey Sutton, like, well, they won't even let Mikey Sutton scoops appear on freaking like the Star Wars subreddit or the Marvel spoiler subreddit. And I'm like, yeah, but the Chicago Tribune is running those scoops. So I mean, you know, in the grand scheme of things, what's gonna be a better place to get your message out there, right? Anyway, it's June, it's Pride Month, so Daniel Richtman has decided to capitalize on this a little bit by running two pieces of information over the course of the past couple days that I mean, come on, in no way are either of these true. So first up, he says that in Star Trek Brave New Worlds, they're currently toying with the idea of having Kirk be bisexual or be gay. Okay. Now, for one, that kind of rumor is going to trigger a certain fandom of people out there that are going to run with this thing. But in reality, like, he's a womanizer. He's always been a womanizer. That's always kind of been part of his charm, the machismo of Kirk. That's never going to change. Never. That would be pretty bad. Now, granted, to be fair, the way that CBS All Access has handled some legacy characters with the new shows have been a little bit on the side, but still, no. Unless what he was confusing it as, and this is just me kind of speculating, unless he's confusing it as being pansexual, like Lando Calrissian was in Solo, because Lando will kind of hook up with whatever, you know, and that's the whole point of being pan. It's whatever. You're attracted to whatever. So there's that. But then today, they ran another article on Bounding into Comics about Wolverine being gay in the MCU and him hooking up with Hercules. And this all became because Daniel tweeted out a panel from a comic book where Wolverine and Hercules were kissing, and then he followed up by just saying MCU, and that got everyone going, oh no, they're gonna make a gay Wolverine. For one, that kind of sexuality doesn't necessarily get explored very much in Marvel. Logan has always been traditionally straight. Captain Marvel and Valkyrie have definitely LGBTQ tendencies in the comics, so that makes it more up that particular path to follow versus Wolverine that's always had it for Jean Grey. And that's the thing. Like, so think of it like this. Daniel is known to be full of shit. Daniel is known to like take scoops from other people. I basically kind of like outed how he took a scoop from Andy Signor. I don't even want to give Andy credit, but he took a scoop from Andy Signor and then ran it on his Patreon about an Ahsoka live action series coming to Disney Plus. Like, he ran that. You know, he runs with Jeremy Conrad, who hides things behind a paywall, but then uses Grace Randolph as a way to corroborate the scoop, which is like one of the sleaziest things I think you can do. All of these guys right now are just, they need relevance because Hollywood is dead. They need relevance because nothing is really happening. So they need to keep it going. They need to keep the attention on them. They need Bounding into Comics, comicbook.com, comicbookmovie.com. All of these things they need in order to be able to keep any kind of relevancy versus actually creating any kind of real content. And I find it a little bit that Daniel would pull this nonsense during Pride Month, because you can tell it's agenda driven and it's meant to work to his favor. But I think anyone with half a brain can see through exactly what he's up to and what he's doing. And it's sad. It's really, really sad that this is the level that he's had to stoop to in order to try to get someone to write about him, when quite frankly, his relevance in regards to many aspects of scoopsdom are kind of dead, and no one really cares about him. So why not make some crap up, especially during a month like this? I don't expect anything else from him, to be honest with you guys. I really, really, really don't. It's one of those things where always take the scoops, doesn't matter where they come from or who they come from, with a grain of salt. Look at their track record and look to see whether or not they are simply putting things out there in hopes of getting a response from the studio. And that's another thing to consider here too. A lot of people, and I've actually been talking to some folks behind the scenes about this, a lot of people out there will run these kind of scoops and they'll try to get as much traction with them as possible to force the studio to issue a response in hopes of then the studio reaching out to them in order to give them some information to validate them. So they lie in order to get the attention, in order to get the validation. It's a very weird, twisted, sick system. But when you really think about it and you think about the people who do it and their track record, you can kind of go, okay, I can see what's happening. And the problem with that is they get validated by websites out there, and they get validated by YouTubers that are just looking for content and taking it from wherever they can. And that's basically what happens. It's a very terrible cycle. And it's one that doesn't get treated with any kind of integrity that it should. There's nothing wrong with reporting on scoops, but there are people that they run the clickbait. And I view that, quite frankly, as kind of like lying to the audience, to be honest with you. But I mean, and I've probably done it too. It's hard not to sometimes. You want to make it sexy, but not too sexy. It's a weird thing. Anyway, all I'm trying to say with this is just be wary of those who keep consistently dropping links, dropping scoops, all of these things. Because I would argue a fair amount of them are doing it simply for the attention and simply because it's how they make money. And I think it's a bit detrimental at times to actual reporting and factual information coming out about the industry. And I say this as a friend of Mikey Sutton, and he knows how I feel. He knows that I always say take with a grain of salt. And I always question him on things when he talks to me about them. And he'll vouch for that. So there's that. Anyway, your thoughts, your opinions, let me know down in the comments below. I'll talk to you all later. Have yourself a great day. I'm going to go deliver some pizza now because this is my life. And have yourself a good one and peace out.